And when the ball kind of goes towards Lukaku, and I think it's Alderweireld challenging for it as well, as Dino says, you've got to bank on the fact he's not going to win that, and he has to drop off. He's not blessed with the most amount of pace himself anyway. Dropping off gives him the ability to kind of see everything that's running at him. He stays high. Martial's quick as they come, gets in behind him, and football's simple sometimes, and you get punished when you don't concentrate. And Spurs were not good enough on the day, and I thought Man United did deserve the win in the end.
Robbie, look at it now. City 25, could go to 28, of course, today. United 23, Tottenham 20. It'll just underline for a lot of people watching us, wherever they are, on Twitter, whatever they're doing, that it will be about the two Manchester teams. I know we're only a quarter of the way through, but results like this just give fuel to that argument, doesn't it?
Well, it's amazing. You know, when United lost to Huddersfield and Spurs beat Liverpool, it was like all these Man United haters and Mourinho haters now. Oh, Spurs are in the best place to challenge City, which was nonsense because Mourinho's record in the last 39 Premier League games now, he's only lost 3. But all of a sudden, because United lost Huddersfield, Spurs were in the best place to challenge.
But there was pressure on this game. You have to admit there's pressure on this game.
But why were Spurs in the best place to challenge City?
I'm not saying they were, but United had to respond, and in fairness, they did.
Yeah. Without playing particularly well, did they, Chris? I mean, it wasn't a particularly memorable game, but Mourinho is the past master at getting out a result when he needs it. In this manner, you could argue.
Absolutely. And after the Liverpool game, you know, discussing earlier on Facebook, you know, was it a good point or wasn't it in the way he set up? It wasn't on the basis that they then lost to Huddersfield, so it was a big pressure game, but United came through it.
Yeah, Mourinho did the old shh to the camera at the end. Lukaku could have scored with a header as well. I mean, we saw, I suppose, in that last 10 minutes with the header and the flick on, the all-round nature of Lukaku's game, which Manchester United want to use to their advantage.
Well, of course, you know, he brings a different dimension, doesn't he? You know, he wins the header for the flick. He's so powerful, he gets in behind. But it's not just today Manchester United scored late. Manchester United have always scored late goals in games because they never know when to keep pressing, when to keep making chances. And history, look at Sir Alex Ferguson when he was man. How many late goals did they used to score? So it's not just today. They go till the very, very end.
No Llorente today. Would you have anticipated he would play Llorente with Harry Kane's absence? Do you think that he should have done?
No, I don't. No? I think he made the right decision with the personnel that started. I don't think Llorente was brilliant midweek against West Ham. I still don't think he's up to speed yet. He's still getting that level of fitness as well. So I thought going with Dele and Son was the right way forward. The problem is when you bring on Llorente, it did feel to me that kind of swing of right. It was just wave after wave of attack from Manchester United, and they wasn't as worried about runners in behind all of a sudden. So he's got to find that balance.
We were using Twitter a lot, weren't we, Mark? Hashtag BT Sports Score. And Katie Richardson says, our result shows a difference in the strength, in depth. Hashtag Man United.
Yeah, well, it's a big, strong squad. You can get in touch throughout the day. Hashtag BT Sports Score. Robbie will be looking at those. And Jules has got lots of news as well.
Yeah, the overwhelming reaction on social media following that lunchtime game is that Anthony Martial is trending. He's the most talked about Manchester United player, and the most talked about topic involving him is the fact that Mourinho seems to favour Rashford over Martial. Now, Richard Chambers says, remind me again why Man United don't start Martial. Surab Gupta says, Rashford starts, yet Martial scores. The saga continues. And a Mad Villain says Martial is far better than Rashford. It's a shame Mourinho only has faith in the latter. And in fact, Martial has scored the most goals as a substitute this season in the Premier League.
Well, I would have thought it's fantastic with Ibrahimovic to come back as well, that Mourinho's got all these choices. But if it is a straight shootout between Martial and Rashford to start, who do you go with?
Rashford. I think Rashford puts everything into it. If you watch the game against Huddersfield last week, Smith in the first 5 minutes went right through Martial, and that was the end of the game for him. He didn't fancy it. I think Rashford just keeps coming back at you. You can kick him as many times as you like. He never gets disappointed. Just keeps coming back at you.
I think as well, Dean, if Rashford had scored today before Martial came on, nobody would have been saying anything about Martial. It's just how fans react. All of a sudden, Martial has to start the next game. You know, for me, if Rashford gets a goal, nobody even mentions the fact that
It does start them both anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, he chops between the both of them
it's not-
anyway.
it's not an either
ridiculous.
or, really,
No,
is
it's
it?
not.
No.
And he's getting the best out of both, which is perfect for Mourinho.
It's a nice headache.
It is, yeah.
Fantastic headache to have.
That tweet.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. He should be banned from
Martial is
Twitter.
far better than Rashford.
Yeah. Rashford smiles more anyway, does he?
It was
That's
a
for-
ridiculous tweet, but
that's
yeah.
for sure. It's a bit of a lucky. Do I mean a lucky finish? He didn't hit it cleanly, did he, Martial? He bounced it into the ground.
Got 3 strikers here, and they'll tell you, you know, some of the ones that you don't catch the cleanest
Yeah.
are always the ones that hit the back of the net.
From Tottenham's point of view, that is the worst goal, even non-league. That is the worst type of goal you can concede, because you could play the coach and horses pub,
Yeah.
and that is the best chance they got of scoring against you. They hit the ball to a big centre forward who's about 50 but 6'4".
Yeah.
And a little 16-year-old runs in behind
Just
you
a
for the
whip it,
flick on.
just run.
That's if you can't defend goal kicks, what chance have you got?
I'm really surprised he didn't go with Sanchez today. I mean, I don't know whether he's carrying a knock or whether he's worried about his tiredness, but if you're coming up against, you know, Lukaku and Rashford, or whether it's Martial,
He's very
starting,
physical, isn't he?
First thing I'm thinking is not only is he fit, well, he's quick. Yeah. He's quick, so you know, I'm very surprised he went with Dyer in that middle of the three.
Chris wrote a column on, was it Harry Kane today?
Yep. I mean, Pep talked about the Harry Kane team, and you have to say Tottenham are a totally different team. You know, I think that the players lost confidence that Harry Kane wasn't
You
playing.
say that, Chris, but that's the first game they've actually lost without Harry Kane since like October 14.
Well, I think stats-wise, with Harry Kane in the team, it's something like 59% they win. Without Harry Kane, 41%. That says it all.
There's been 10 games though when he's not played.
He didn't play
when
the
he's
cup,
not been
he played the
played.
cup, didn't he?
It's 10 games, no, 10 league games when he's not played for
So are
Tottenham.
you saying
and
they've
lost
didn't,
one
yeah, but are
game?
you saying they didn't miss Harry Kane today?
From an attacking point of view, yes, but in terms of saying getting beat,
No.
you can't argue with those
statistically,
stats.
statistically,
They've lost one
James
game.
is right. But it's a question of whether they look a different team, as you say. Do you think they just felt they didn't quite have something? They didn't quite believe in themselves because he's not there.
One week we're talking about him about one of the best strikers in the world.
Yeah.
Any team would miss it.
But then you're back to the Llorente. What was Llorente brought in for? And he didn't, you know, we all thought Llorente was brought in. Harry Kane injured, Janssen wasn't good enough, Llorente the next one in. And he had his chance, well, he didn't have his chance to start today. It was a surprise they left Llorente out.
Big win for Manchester United. Big win for Sheffield United last night, Jules. They're top of the